Horns up and welcome to a brand new episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. On last week's episode, we went all the way to Italy and we made some Keto cacio e pepe. If you haven't seen that episode, you can click here and watch it. Now, for today's episode, we are going all the way to Mexico and we're going to be cooking up some delicious keto pork carnitas. Now, as far as I understand, pork carnitas basically are like a Mexican pulled pork that you put inside a taco or a burrito and whatever, in whatever form you like, and you eat it. And it's a recipe that I have seen many variations of, but the most common one seems to be cooking the pork shoulder in lard with some Mexican Coke and some condensed milk. Yes! I know it sounds absolutely like different and crazy to most people, but that's how a lot of them do it. But since Coke is not really keto, neither is condensed milk, and I live in India where finding lard would be near impossible, I've decided to sort of use a different recipe. And for inspiration, I look to, well, one of my cooking heroes, Chef John from foodwishes.com, and he's got a pork carnitas recipe which is a little bit different. So I've taken inspiration from him, I've tweaked that recipe a little bit, and I have created, well, Headbanger's Kitchen's pork carnitas. Anyway, someone's at the door and that's enough jibber jabber out of me. Let's get cooking. So the first thing we're going to do is take our pork shoulder and chop it up into nice big chunks. You want to work with pieces that are not too big and not too small. Try and keep it as even as you can so that they cook evenly as well. Now, if you noticed, I have left the pork skin on. This is completely optional because the pork skin is going to become soft and gelatinous, and I really enjoy it in this form as well. But a lot of people don't like pork skin unless it's crispy. So you can ask your butcher to take it off or leave it on. The choice is completely yours. Once you've chopped up your pork, it's time to marinate it. Now, since I have a lot of pork, I'm going to marinate it in the roasting tray directly. I'm going to first season it with some salt, some freshly cracked black pepper, some cumin powder, some 5-spice powder. Now, since I didn't have cinnamon powder, I decided to use some cinnamon sticks. I'm also going to break 2 bay leaves and add them to this. I'm also going to add a couple of cloves of garlic, skinned and peeled of course. Now, the original recipe uses orange peels and orange juice, but since that's not really keto friendly, so I'm using the zest of a lemon as well as some fresh lemon juice. This is just to give it a beautiful citrusy note, and it cuts through the richness of the pork. And as a little tribute to Chef John from foodwishes.com, I'm adding some cayenne pepper. And then of course you want to give it all a good mix, and you want to make sure all the marinade is over all the pieces of pork. So yep, give it all a good mix. And once you're done with that, it's time to cover it with some tin foil, aluminum foil, heavy duty foil, whatever you got lying around. And then this goes into a preheated oven at 140 degrees Celsius for about 3.5 to 4 hours till the pork is cooked nice and tender. And after 3.5 hours of cooking, your pork is ready to come out of the oven. Now it's time to take off the aluminum foil, and oh yeah, that pork is cooked beautifully. The meat looks tender, the fat has become gelatinous and wobbly. Perfect. Now you're going to fish out all that pork from the roasting tray using a slotted spoon or a strainer and set it aside. Just get all those pork pieces out of the pan, the garlic, the cinnamon sticks, the bay leaves. You want to get all of it out separately in a bowl. Then you want to strain out all the juices from the roasting tray, and you're going to see it kind of separate into 2 layers. On top will be the fat, and at the bottom will be the lovely liquid gold, the culinary gold that we call, or what we call the culinary gold. And yeah, that's full of flavor. Now we're going to put all that pork back into the roasting tray, and you can take out the cinnamon sticks and the bay leaves and discard them now. And then we're going to scoop off some of the fat from the strained liquid and pour that over the pork. And then this pork will go back in the oven on the highest temperature on the broiler setting to crisp up. And this should take about 15 minutes. After about 15 minutes, our pork is done, and you can see that it's developed a beautiful dark crust on it. So it's going to have a lovely bite to it, but yet it will be tender and soft from that slow cooking. I mean, just look at that pork. How gorgeous is that? And that's it, my friends. Our pork carnitas are done, and they look absolutely magnificent. I'm salivating, and it's a good thing you can't see it. So I have to show you how tender the pork is, but first I'm going to pour a little bit of those resting juices on top of the carnitas, and then of course use 2 forks, and you can watch that pork being pulled apart beautifully with ease. It melts like butter. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. That's food porn right there. And you know what? I gotta show you a little more food porn. Oh yeah, enjoy. Just look at how soft and tender that pork is. Unbelievable. Anyway, time to taste. Alright folks, so it's time to taste the pork carnitas. And you saw the footage before this, so you know what's coming. But before that, like I said, pork carnitas are normally had in like a soft taco or a tortilla roll, whatever. There are different ways of eating it. And I would recommend that you can make yourself a keto tortilla. I've got a couple of recipes that I'm going to link up here. There's one which is made using coconut flour and psyllium husk, which we call the keto naan. And there's another one which I used to make nachos as well. But all the recipes, click here on the I button, and I'll also link them below in the video description box. Anyway, I gotta eat, man. That pork is, it's like, woo, it evaporates in your mouth. Woo, it just dissolves. It's so tender, so juicy, and the flavors are bang on. I mean, this with some fresh guacamole in a keto tortilla, you guys are going to be in heaven. Maybe even a little cheese, who knows. And what you can also do is something that I've done before with pulled pork, is that we're going to further cook this in a frying pan and just break it up, and it'll get some amazing crispness, like even more than what we got in the oven. But there are just so many things you can do with these delicious pork carnitas. Let me know in the comments what you're going to do with them. And that's enough jibber jabber from me, and I will see you on the next episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. Cheers, and keep ketoing and cooking, of course. Hey folks, last week I cooked up an Italian dish. Today it was Mexican pork carnitas. Where in the world should we travel to next? Leave me your recipe suggestions below in the comments, and I'll see what I can do about it. Anyway, have a great day or night or whatever.